I let out a long sigh as I folded the last piece of laundry, feeling the weight of exhaustion press down on my shoulders. The whole day had been a marathon of housework, cooking meals, scrubbing rooms, ironing piles of clothes. By afternoon, I even managed to help my daughter Lily with her math homework, which she'd been struggling with lately. It was one of those days that seemed to go on forever, and when I finally finished everything, the clock showed 11 p.m. Peeking into Lily's room, I saw her friend Emma already settled in for the night. Emma had become almost like family to us, spending most weekends here, which always made Lily happy. I felt reassured seeing her with such a close friend, even though there was something about Emma that left me a bit uneasy, something I could never quite figure out. Out in the backyard, our two pit bulls, Rex and Diesel, were supposed to stay outside overnight. Rex, Lily's favorite, was the gentle one, quiet and calm, always by her side whenever he was allowed inside. Diesel, though, was another story. He was loyal to a fault, but he had a more intense, protective nature that sometimes made me nervous, especially when he'd bark at the smallest disturbance. Though I'd told Lily to leave the dogs outside for the night, she felt safer with Rex nearby. The moment she thought I was in bed, she snuck downstairs and opened the back door, letting Rex slip quietly inside. "Sorry, Diesel, not tonight," she whispered, closing the door. I knew she liked having Rex with her, especially when Emma stayed over, as though he could protect her from anything. Upstairs, I slipped into my pajamas, my whole body feeling heavy with exhaustion. Being a single mom had its challenges, but moments like these, seeing Lily laugh with her friend, feeling the house peaceful, made everything worthwhile. As I crawled into bed, I tried to let the tension in my shoulders fade, hoping for a few hours of restful sleep. Outside, the night was calm, with only the sound of leaves rustling now and then and the occasional soft creak of branches tapping against the windows. I heard Diesel give a low growl from the backyard, but I didn't think much of it. He often barked at passing animals or strange sounds, always on alert. Closing my eyes, I settled in, not realizing that something was already brewing downstairs. Down in Lily's room, Rex had curled up on the floor beside her bed, keeping a close watch on Emma. His eyes followed her every move, never breaking his intense gaze. Emma squirmed on the mattress Lily had set up for her, clearly uncomfortable with Rex's steady stare. "He's always like this when I'm here, huh?" Emma muttered, trying to keep her voice casual. Lily patted Rex's head, smiling. "He's just protective. Don't worry about it." But Emma looked uneasy, glancing at the dog with suspicion. Something about his watchful eyes made her shift uncomfortably, like he sensed something only he understood. I was jolted awake by the sound of screams and frantic barking. My heart pounded as I tried to get my bearings, realizing the noise was coming from Lily's room. The barking, loud, fierce, and aggressive, was unmistakably from Rex and Diesel. Without thinking, I bolted out of bed and rushed down the hall. When I burst into Lily's room, the scene that met my eyes froze me in place. Rex and Diesel were locked in a fierce struggle, teeth bared, snarling and snapping at each other. Lily was huddled on the bed, tears streaming down her face, her nightgown smeared with blood. "Mom, help!" Lily cried, her voice choked with fear. Emma was standing near the bed, pale with terror. Diesel attacked her. Emma shouted, her voice shaking. He hurt Lily, and Rex tried to protect her. She pointed at Diesel, her hands trembling. My mind reeled, trying to make sense of the chaos. Diesel's eyes were fixed on Emma, his body tense, ready to lunge again. Rex stood protectively between Lily and Diesel, a low growl rumbling from his throat, daring Diesel to come closer. "Stop it, both of you," I shouted, grabbing a blanket and waving it between the two dogs. Reluctantly, Rex backed down, his stance still protective. Diesel let out a final growl, then retreated to the doorway, still glaring at Emma. I quickly ushered both dogs outside, locking them in separate areas, Diesel in the yard and Rex near the kitchen. Diesel continued barking furiously from behind the door, but Rex remained calm and alert. For the moment, though, my focus was all on Lily. I rushed back to Lily, wrapping her in my arms as she trembled, her little body racked with silent sobs. It's okay, sweetheart. I'm here now, I whispered, gently brushing the tears from her cheeks. But Lily just clung to me, too shaken to speak. Emma stood to the side, casting nervous glances between me and the door. We should get her to a doctor, right? She asked, almost too quickly. Something about Emma's tone felt off, but I didn't have time to think about it. Lily needed medical attention, and fast. I grabbed a sweater, wrapped it around Lily's shoulders, and motioned for Emma to come with us. We're going to Dr. Ellis, I said, my voice leaving no room for argument. Emma nodded, but she kept fidgeting and avoiding my eyes. The drive to Dr. Ellis's clinic was silent, the tension thick. Lily rested against Rex in the back seat, her fingers gripping his fur as if afraid to let go. Emma sat stiffly beside her, staring out the window, and I couldn't shake the nagging feeling in my gut. What had really happened tonight? Diesel's aggression hadn't seemed random, it had felt directed, almost intentional. And why had Rex, usually so gentle, fought so fiercely? When we arrived at Dr. Ellis's clinic, I carried Lily inside, Rex following close behind. Dr. Ellis greeted us with a concerned look and quickly ushered us into the exam room. What happened? She asked, her voice calm yet urgent. Diesel attacked her, I explained, though the words felt strange leaving my mouth. Rex tried to protect her. Dr. Ellis glanced at Lily, who sat on the exam table, her face pale and tear-streaked, and then at Rex, who positioned himself protectively at Lily's feet. She gently began examining Lily's injuries, and her expression darkened as she worked. Maddie, she said softly, there's trauma here and it's serious. We'll need to run some tests. Her voice was filled with a caution that made my stomach tighten. Do you think it could be from the dogs? I asked, though deep down, doubt had already started to creep in. Dr. Ellis hesitated, giving me a measured look. Honestly, I'm not sure. These injuries, they don't look like the result of a typical dog attack. A chill ran down my spine. The barking, the fight. Had I missed something more serious happening? I knelt beside Lily and gently brushed her hair back. Sweetheart, can you tell me what happened? I whispered, hoping she'd open up. But Lily shook her head, burying her face in Rex's fur, refusing to say a word. I felt my heart break seeing her like this, knowing that pressing her too hard wouldn't help. We'll take it one step at a time, Dr. Ellis said gently, finishing her examination and taking a blood sample. For now, let's focus on making sure Lily's okay. I'll have some test results soon. With Lily stabilized, I helped her back to the car, Rex staying protectively close. Emma followed, her face pale and eyes darting around nervously. There was something in her behavior that didn't sit right with me, but I pushed it aside for now. My focus was on Lily. On the drive back home, the silence was thick and tense. Lily leaned against Rex in the back seat, gripping his fur tightly as if for comfort. I kept glancing at her in the rearview mirror, worry tightening in my chest. Diesel's intense focus on Emma replayed in my mind, and it left me with far too many unanswered questions. When we finally pulled into the driveway, Diesel was still outside, his eyes glowing in the darkness as he barked at the sound of the car. As soon as we got inside, I kept Rex close to Lily, determined to keep the two dogs separated for now. Diesel continued to bark relentlessly from outside, his growls sharp and insistent, especially whenever Emma walked by the windows. It wasn't typical behavior for Diesel. The way he watched Emma, his gaze sharp and unyielding, sent a chill through me. Diesel's focus seemed deliberate, not just random aggression. He seemed to be trying to tell us something. Inside, Rex stayed glued to Lily's side, his quiet presence calming her. Whenever Emma came near, Rex would let out a low growl, his eyes never leaving her. I couldn't shake the feeling that both dogs sensed something was wrong, something I hadn't yet uncovered. Later that day, I noticed something peculiar between Rex and Diesel. The previous night, they'd been locked in a brutal fight, but now it was as if a silent understanding had formed between them. Diesel barked and paced outside whenever Emma was near the windows, while inside, Rex stayed alert, guarding Lily. It felt like they were working together, both keeping watch in their own way. Emma avoided Diesel's barking as much as possible, her face growing paler each time she caught sight of him outside. Her nervous glances toward the window only added to the tension, and I couldn't help but wonder why she seemed so unsettled by Diesel's focus on her. That evening, I knelt beside Lily, brushing a strand of hair out of her face. "Sweetheart," I said softly, "I need you to tell me what really happened last night." Lily looked down at Rex, running her fingers through his fur. Rex nudged her hand gently, almost as if encouraging her to speak. "Finally," she whispered, "it wasn't Diesel, Mom. He was trying to protect me." My heart skipped a beat. "Protect you from who?" Lily's voice trembled as she answered. "From Emma." Her words were barely audible, but they were enough to confirm my worst fears. My mind spun as the pieces started to fit together. The fight between Rex and Diesel hadn't been random. They had both sensed something dangerous, and they were defending Lily the only way they knew how. My suspicions about Emma began to solidify, and I turned to face her as she sat on the couch, fidgeting under Rex's watchful eyes. "Emma," I said, my voice low and firm. She looked up, her face pale and wide-eyed. "No," I said, a chill in my voice. "You're not Emma, are you?" I was met with silence, but I didn't need a confession to know the truth. She glanced at the door, her body tensing as if preparing to escape. Rex growled softly, his eyes fixed on her, and she froze, realizing she had nowhere to go. "You've been lying to us," I said, my anger barely controlled. "You hurt my daughter, and you tried to blame my dogs for it." The boy, looked away, guilt flickering across his face. He muttered something under his breath, but I didn't need to hear it. I had my answers. Rex moved closer to Lily, his protective stance unwavering. And as I stood there, I felt the full weight of what had happened. Lily had been carrying a terrible secret, and both Rex and Diesel had seen the danger before I did. They had both fought to protect her. With everything out in the open, I ordered him out of the house, making it clear he was never welcome again. As he slipped out the door and into the night, Diesel barked from the yard, his growls sharp and unyielding, as if to say, "Stay away." Back inside, I knelt beside Lily, wrapping her in my arms. "It's over now, sweetheart." "He's gone," I whispered, holding her close as she let out a shaky breath. Rex rested his head in her lap, offering quiet comfort, while Diesel finally fell silent outside, as if his job was complete. In the days that followed, Lily stayed close to Rex, finding a quiet strength in his presence. Diesel, though still kept outside, lay patiently by the back door, keeping watch. Both dogs seemed to sense the lingering pain in Lily's heart, and they remained by her side, offering their silent, loyal support. In the weeks that followed, the weight of what had happened still hung heavy over our home. Lily barely spoke, retreating into herself, her once bright smile now a rare sight. I stayed close, giving her all the space and support she needed, ready to be there when she was ready to talk. Rex was her constant companion, sticking close and watching her with quiet, steady eyes. Diesel, though usually outside, would occasionally lie by the back door, his eyes fixed on the house, as if on standby to protect her again if needed. Both dogs seemed to understand Lily's pain in a way only they could, each guarding her in their own way. I noticed small changes in Lily's demeanor. She smiled less, played even less, and didn't find much joy in the things she used to love. I could see that she was trying to move forward, but the path to healing was going to be long. One evening, Lily suddenly complained of sharp abdominal pain. My heart dropped as I rushed her to the bathroom, where she doubled over in pain, her face pale. "Mom, it hurts," she cried, her voice breaking. Without a moment's hesitation, I scooped her into my arms, rushing her to the car, with Rex jumping in beside her. Diesel barked from the yard as we sped away, his anxious howls echoing into the night, as if sensing our urgency. At Dr. Ellis's clinic, I watched helplessly as the doctor performed an ultrasound, her expression darkening with each passing second. Finally, she turned to me, her face etched with sadness. "Maddie," she began softly, "I'm afraid. Lily was pregnant. Her body couldn't handle it, and she lost the baby." The words hit me like a wave. My chest tightened as tears welled up in my eyes. I had suspected, on some level, but hearing it confirmed brought an overwhelming sadness. Lily lay on the exam bed, pale and quiet, as though the reality of it all was only beginning to sink in. I knelt beside her, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart," I whispered, my voice breaking. "We'll get through this, I promise." For the first time, Lily looked at me, her eyes brimming with tears. "I just want it all to stop, Mom," she whispered, the rawness of her words breaking my heart. I wrapped her in my arms as we both cried. Rex sat at the edge of the bed, resting his head on her lap, his quiet presence providing the comfort words could not. Once back home, the days passed slowly, each one filled with quiet moments of reflection and healing. I encouraged Lily to talk when she was ready, never pushing her, but always letting her know I was there. Rex never left her side, following her around the house, while Diesel remained a steady presence outside, keeping watch in his own way. One day, to my surprise, Lily asked, "Mom, can we bring Diesel inside?" It was the first time in weeks that I saw a glimmer of strength in her eyes. I realized that letting Diesel back inside was her way of taking back control, reclaiming her sense of safety. That evening, I unlocked the back door, and Diesel cautiously stepped inside, his gaze shifting to Lily as if asking for permission. She waited for him in the living room with Rex by her side. As Diesel approached, she gently patted his head. "Thank you, Diesel," she whispered, and his tail wagged slowly as he leaned into her hand. For the first time in a long while, I saw a spark of peace in Lily's eyes. The journey ahead would still be long, but I knew that with Rex, Diesel, and my unwavering love, she would find her way through. The following weeks were challenging, but little by little, Lily began to reclaim her life. She smiled more, laughed occasionally, and started to enjoy small things again, like drawing and taking short walks around the neighborhood. Rex and Diesel were always by her side, each of them offering quiet support in their unique way. The tension between the two dogs had disappeared, replaced with an understanding as if they knew their roles now weren't to guard her separately, but to protect her together. Their shared loyalty created a calmness in the house that brought a much-needed sense of peace. One morning, Lily woke up with a smile and gave Rex a playful scratch behind the ears. She called Diesel over, and he joined them, wagging his tail, happy to see Lily's spirits lifting. Watching the three of them together, I felt a lump in my throat, knowing that Lily was finding her way back to us. As days passed, our family grew stronger. Lily started to embrace life with a little more confidence, going out to the backyard to play, and even inviting a friend over to visit. Rex and Diesel watched her with steady, protective eyes, their presence comforting her as she continued to heal. One evening, while sitting on the porch, Lily looked up at me and asked, "We're going to be okay, aren't we, Mom?" Her voice was soft, but there was a hint of hope in her eyes. I pulled her close, wrapping her in a hug. "Yes, sweetheart. We're going to be okay." In that moment, I knew our family, complete with our two loyal dogs, had weathered the storm. Rex and Diesel had given us strength when we needed it most, and now, as life began to feel brighter, we looked forward together, stronger than ever.